Hey everybody, welcome back. A few weeks ago, I sent out a straw poll asking people what series they'd be most interested in watching, and the #1 result was an Ironman tips and tricks series. Since then, I was able to compile over 60 useful low-level Ironman tips and tricks, and today we're going to cover the first set of them. The plan is to break down the list into 15 tip segments to keep the videos to a digestible length, and after the last part airs, we'll eventually move on to discussing mid-level tips and so on from there. Anybody who's seen my Efficient Ironman series that specifically avoids doing Wintertodt and Barbarian fishing while still aiming to be as efficient as possible, currently on episode 16, may already be aware of a good portion of these, but I wanted to compile everything in one location since people were interested. At least a few of these will be commonly known, and in those cases we'll only touch on them just to make sure that anybody who's not in the know is made aware. Please let me know if there are any inaccuracies or if you've got any tips of your own to share. Tip number 1. Get at least 20 to 30 construction before starting Wintertodt. Anybody who's spent at least 5 minutes looking up Ironman guides has seen that almost always the first thing the guide suggests is doing Wintertodt until anywhere from 80 to 99 firemaking, so I won't be going into that here. The only thing I'm going to add on is that if you are going that route, get 20 to 30 construction prior to doing Wintertodt, because repairing the brazier during the minigame gives 4 times the player's construction level as experience. So instead of getting 4 experience per repair level 1, you'd get anywhere from 80 to 120 per repair between levels 20 and 30, allowing you to level up construction a lot faster. The same actually goes for all the skills used in the minigame, but repairing the brazier has the highest experience multiplier besides firemaking, of course. All the others are below even a 1x experience rate. Number 2. Last Man Standing is now immensely helpful for Ironmen of all levels. With the recent change of moving bounty hunter rewards into the Last Man Standing minigame, Ironmen of all levels can take part in the safe minigame to get points, and then spend those points on a variety of useful items, namely rune arrows, which can either be high-alked or sold to shops as a pretty decent money-making method, blighted super restore potions for wilderness activities requiring prayer, magic shortbow scrolls, which buff the bow as well as lowering its special attack cost, and rune pouches, which can hold up to 16,000 each of 3 types of runes. Number 3, you can toggle your ammunition pickup options. Speaking of the rune pouch, this tip is one everybody can appreciate. You can talk to the Magic Tutor in Lumbridge to toggle the option of having any runes you pick up off the ground go straight into the pouch as opposed to the inventory. The same goes for the Range Tutor. You can toggle whether ammo you pick up off the ground goes straight into your quiver, or blowpipe even, as opposed to the inventory. Number 4, utilize the free 30 starter casts from the Magic Tutor. Since I brought up the Magic Tutor, every 30 minutes you can obtain a free set of 30 air and 30 mind runes from them, so early on, whenever you're not making use of your home teleport cooldown, it could be useful to take a quick trip to pick up another set of 30 casts. That's a 288 GP equivalent if purchasing them from a rune shop, and it's super helpful in the early game when cash is a scarce resource. Note that this does require you to bring all of your mine and air runes with you, because you have to drop them before requesting the set, as the tutor will otherwise say you have some in your inventory and or bank. For whatever reason, the wiki says you also can't be standing on them when you request them, or the tutor will point out that you have some at your feet, but as you can see, that's not the case. Number 5, rely on shops whenever able. Many early game quests have item requirements that are easily obtainable from shops, so there's no need to grind out the levels and materials yourself. For example, you can get an oak longbow from archery shops for Ghosts Ahoy, an iron chain body from Varrock or Falador for Black Knight's Fortress, a raw shark from Canifis or Port Piscarius for the Fremenic Trials, and shops like the Grand Tree grocery store provide a plethora of helpful items such as dwellberries, a bucket of milk and chocolate dust for Plague City, gnome spice and orange for the Goblin subquest of Recipe for Disaster, cheese for Witch's House, a cabbage for Black Knight's Fortress, pineapples to make early super compost, fruit as well as a cocktail shaker to make a fruit blast for the Another Cook's Quest part of Recipe for Disaster, as well as onions to make yellow dyes for Prince Ollie Rescue, Ghost Ahoy, Goblin Diplomacy. And of course, the charter ship shops are very commonly used for buckets of sand, seaweed, and soda ash for glass blowing, as well as buckets of slime for the Ectofuntus, and also pineapples for early super compost. There's a ton more, but I think you get the idea. Number 6, collect items for quests during other activities. Along with shops, many items for quests can be acquired by taking a quick second to go out of your way during a different quest, as opposed to making a specific trip out for them later. Or better yet, they'll be directly on your path and you'll waste no time at all. For instance, when doing Pirate's Treasure, you can acquire a cabbage for Black Knight's Fortress as well as a raw chicken for Druidic Ritual from the back of Wyden's shop. When doing the fishing contest, a glass-blowing pike can be found inside Grandpa Jack's house, saving you from having to buy one from a charter ship later on, even though they are cheap. More importantly, when getting the red vineworms for the quest, you could not only pick up extras in case they're one of your 3 requested items during the Fairy Tale Part 1 quest, but you could also pick up dwellberries nearby for Plague City as opposed to purchasing them. When doing the Nature Spirit quest and you have to fill up your Druid pouch, keep an extra stem, pear, and fungus as those items may also be requested during Fairy Tale Part 1. In fact, when playing my account I anticipated this, and both the stem and the pear ended up being 2 of my 3 requested items, with the other being white berries. I was lucky as hell. When going to the swamp during the Priest Shack during the Restless Ghost, you could kill a rat for its raw meat for Druidic Ritual, as well as pick up several swamp tar on the ground to use for quite a few quests. When going through Draenor Manor during the last part of the Vampire Slayer, or at any time during Ernest the Chicken, you could pick up a bronze medium helm on your way out to use for Black Knight's Fortress, as well as a spade, if needed. Number 7. Keep the quote-unquote byproducts and miscellaneous loot from one activity to use for another. Related to the last tip, whether it's truly a byproduct or just a piece of secondary loot, it's very beneficial to keep the items you get from doing one activity to repurpose them for another. For example, when thieving bakery stalls for food in the early game, most people only bake the full cakes, but you also need a bunch of bread for early quests, namely 10 for Death Plateau, 1 for Merlin's Crystal, and 1 for the Goblins part of Recipe for Disaster, so it'd be smart to bank those ahead of time to save you the hassle later. Also, in getting level 30 firemaking for the Sea Slug quest, you'll leave plenty of ashes behind on the way, but do pick up a minimum of 3 for Prince Holly Rescue, the Another Cook's Quest part of Recipe for Disaster, and for making Serum 207s during the Shades of Morton quest. Ashes are one of those things that can easily be acquired later, but it's always a good feeling to have a quest item already in the bank when you need it. You can easily quest farming into the mid-30s during the early game, but there's a few select points on the way where you're required to farm for a quest or diary task. During these times, throw all the weeds, cabbages, and other low-level crops into the compost bin, and then when you come back later to actually do some farming post the Garden of Tranquility quest, you can bring the compost potion 4 you get from the quest, and use it on each bin to convert them into super compost at no charge. When thieving ham members for their rope pieces for Death to the Dorgeshen, they also give a lot of other useful items you can use later on, such as buttons to polish for Animal Magnetism, a steel pickaxe for a lot of training purposes, easy clue scrolls, rusty swords to take to Tyndall Marchant for an easy Ardoin diary task, coal ore for Elemental Workshop, as well as uncut jades for jewelry, and uncut opals for jewelry and the dig site quest. Number 8. Food sources for the early game. The 2 most common early game foods for Ironmen are wines and cakes. Wines can be purchased from Fortunato and Draenor for 1 GP each, and heal 11, but they weigh a lot. Cakes can be stolen from bakery stalls and heal 12, spread across 3 bites. The best place to do that is in Corin proper, because you can hide behind the stall and only very rarely get caught by a guard if it decides to path up there. There's a bank upstairs in the castle to the west, much closer than the one in Ardoin. Perhaps a bit less useful, yet still dirt cheap, would be purchasing kebabs from the kebab seller in Alcarid for 1 GP each. Kebabs are a bit interesting in that they have multiple outcomes with various healing amounts. They have a 66% chance to heal 10% of your total health, a 21% chance to heal 10 to 20 health, a 9% chance to heal nothing at all, and a 4% chance to heal 30 health. If you're having difficulty with something and are in need of higher healing food that you're willing to shell out some money for, head on over to the Brimhaven food store to purchase lobsters that heal 12, swordfish that heal 14, or even Karambwans that heal 18 and can be combo eaten with other foods in a short amount of time, which we'll cover a bit later. The shop's prices aren't great, but they're not awful, and if you only need a few pieces of food to advance a quest, it could be worth it. An alternate option could be doing the Tribal Totem quest, which is quick and easy and rewards 5 cooked swordfish. Number 9. Unlock Karambwans by the end of the early game. Related to the last tip about food sources, one of your final early game goals should be to unlock fairy rings, get 65 fishing, and complete the Taibo One-Eye Trio quest so you can fish one of the best foods in the game, the Karambwan. Not only are they a great source of fishing and cooking experience, they heal 18, allow you to eat 1 tick faster than other foods, and can be combo eaten with other foods and potions to regain a large amount of health in a short period of time. For example, Eating a lobster plus a Karambwan recovers 30 health almost instantly. At its extreme, combo eating a manta ray plus a Ceradomin brew plus a Karambwan recovers between 50 and 60 health in 3 quick clicks. You can also access Tadeki's Karambwan stall in Taibawanai after the quest, which sells raw Karambwan, Karambwanji, and Karambwan vessels for a pretty good price. Number 10. Prioritize unlocking the Warriors Guild by the start of the mid-game. Since we're still discussing food, make sure you're on track for getting a combined total of 130 attack and strength levels in order to gain access to the Warriors Guild when transitioning into the mid-game. Not only is the guild great for getting defenders, but you can also purchase bulk stews for spicy stew boosting, potatoes with cheese which heal 16, the same as monkfish, for only 10 GP each, which will be super helpful for doing activities that you don't want to waste your precious Karambwans on. Also, you can get plain pizza bases that you can make for using higher level pizzas, mainly pineapple. And also there's a
potion seller
who will sell you bulk attack potions, which are helpful because by that point, you should likely have a dragon battle axe, so you can use the attack potions to offset the attack level reduction caused by the special attack. Number 11. Doritos can be used as an emergency fire starter. Doritos, as well as Fritos and Cheetos, are so high in their caloric content that they can be lit by a lighter and used as a fire starter in a pinch. Number 12. Save your 1 charge teleport jewelry. Whenever your teleport jewelry gets down to 1 charge left, you can recoup some cash by alching or selling them to one of the specialty general stores, which we'll cover later on. Number 13. Count Check will teleport you to the Stronghold of Security. Many new accounts start off by going for the 10k coins from the 3rd level of the Stronghold of Security, but did you know that in the Lumbridge Graveyard is a character called Count Check, and if you talk to him, he will offer to teleport you to the entrance of the Stronghold. This can only be done once, and it can only be done if you haven't visited the Stronghold before. Number 14. Get Boots of Lightness as soon as possible. One of the best free items you can get early on are a pair of Boots of Lightness in the Temple of Ikov, located in a dungeon between Ardoin and Seers Village. They're stylish, they have no requirements, and wearing them will reduce your weight by 4 kilograms. Note that any weight below 0 kilograms counts as 0 for run energy reduction. To get them, you only need a light source and a knife or slashing weapon. Candles can be acquired at the Ardoin Monastery, the candle shop in Catherby, or above the sword shop in Varrock. A knife can be found behind Bob's Axes in Lumbridge, inside a house in Seers Village, or purchased from the fishing trawler shop in Catherby. Once you got all the things you need, head down into the Temple of Ikov, go west, go downstairs, and then head to the far end of the room where you'll have to cut a web and you can pick up the boots. World hopping a few times would be beneficial to get a few extra pairs. Number 15. Exploring alternatives to Ranger Boots. On the topic of boots, Ranger Boots give an awesome +8 ranged attack bonus, but they take an unpredictable amount of medium clues to get. Blessed Dragonhide Boots give a similar +7 bonus, but they require 70 ranged and are also locked behind an even rarer unpredictable amount of hard clues. However, there are 6 possible versions, so the drop rate's different. So that leaves us with 2 more options. Snakeskin Boots, which give a +3 bonus, but require 6 snake hides, and those are a pain in the ass to get. So, our final option, if you really, truly want that +2 ranged attack bonus, are Frog Leather Boots, purchasable from Reldak and Dorgesh Khan for 200 coins after completion of the Debt to the Dorgeshan quest. Number 16. Overlap your quests, especially if you hate questing. That's right, my solution to you not enjoying quests is to do more of them and at the same time. It may sound crazy, but I find that it makes each one go by quicker, and I feel like I'm getting more stuff accomplished. Plus, it can save a bunch of time. For example, part of the Grand Tree quest requires you to go to Hazelmere's Island, who's a short walk southeast from the fight arena in Yanil, and part of the Waterfall quest requires you to go into the Tree Gnome Village dungeon. Assuming you have both of those started, a potential route you could take to integrate all of those quests would be, when required to go to Hazelmere for the Grand Tree quest, you could minigame teleport to Castle Wars, go north and east to the Tree Gnome Village, continue the Waterfall quest by going into the dungeon there, and then going into the village proper to start the Tree Gnome Village quest. You'll be escorted out of the maze, where you could then go east and start the Fight Arena quest, continuing that up until the point of turn-in. But before doing so, you could then go south to Hazelmere to continue the Grand Tree. Then, on the way back toward Tree Gnome Village, you would turn in the Fight Arena quest on the way, before continuing the Tree Gnome Village quest up until completion. Immediately after finishing the quest, you could take the Spirit Tree that you just unlocked back to the Gnome Stronghold, so that you could continue and finish the Grand Tree quest before continuing on to finish the Waterfall quest. Another example is that both the Rune Mysteries and Restless Ghost quest require you to go to the Wizard's Tower. So if you started both of those in Lumbridge, and then did the Swamp House step of the Restless Ghost quest first, you'd then be able to overlap the next steps of both quests simultaneously. Another one is that the Doric's quest, Goblin Diplomacy, Witch's House, and Druidic Ritual quests all take place in the same area. So if you had all the items for those quests beforehand, you'd be able to go north from Falador, start and complete Doric's quest, go north to Goblin Village to start and complete Goblin Diplomacy, then go southwest into Taverley to start the Witch's House. But before going into the house, you could go north to start Druidic Ritual, then go back into the house to get the Boy's Ball, but before turning the ball in, you'd continue Druidic Ritual in the Taverley dungeon, then go turn in Druidic Ritual, and then go turn in Witch's House on the way back to Falador. Another one you could do is start Vampire Slayer in Draenor, and then Pirate's Treasure in Port Sarim, because both of them require you to go to the Blue Moon Inn in Varrock to continue them. Conveniently, while there you'd also be able to start and then overlap Shield of Arav, Demon Slayer, Romeo and Juliet, Gertrude's Cat, and Priest in Peril at the same time, all before doing the Varrock Museum mini-quiz for 9 Slayer and Hunter, and then going to finish Rune Mysteries so you could mine the 50 Pure Essence for Priest in Peril immediately afterwards. If you happen to have gone to Falador beforehand, you'd be able to continue the Knight's Sword in the Castle Library as well. Also, the Rag and Bone Man quest and Alfred Grimhand's Bar Crawl mini-quest can be completed pretty much 100% passively, as you'll pass every location required for both quests during other quests and activities. And finally, the Making History quest has 3 main parts that can be done in any order, and thus easily overlapped with something else. One takes place near the Observatory, which can be combined with the Observatory quest. One is in Relica, which can be done during the Fremenic Trials, and one is in Port Phasmatis, which can be done during Gos Ahoy. Number 16.5. In the same vein, I've seen a lot of people complain about hating having to do diary tasks, so I'd suggest just working them into your quest route as well. It's a lot less annoying to run 10 feet away during a quest to complete a task, rather than having to make a specific trip for it later on. For example, when heading to the Runes of Uzer to do the Golem quest, you could take the Necklace of Passage to the Eagle's Eyrie and mine 5 clay rocks nearby for an easy diary task, set up a bird snare to catch a golden warbler for another diary task, then thieve a phoenix feather from the Desert Phoenix nearby to satisfy a medium diary task, as well as to use the feather during the Golem quest. Also, if there's any intact cacti nearby, you could cut one of those open as well to refill a water skin for yet another diary task. And there you have it, the first set of low-level Ironman tips and tricks. Hopefully you learned something and/or can share some of your own tips with me. I've got a minimum of 3 more low-level Ironman tips and trick videos coming your way in the near future, so subscribe to stay tuned if you're interested. Who knows, I may even come up with some more tips on the way, and a 5th video might come out after that. Thanks for watching everybody, we'll see you next time.